Hello. I wanted to talk to you today about the keto diet and paleo diets as far as magnesium deficiency is concerned. The number one deficiency of these diets, which has been, you find hundreds of websites on this exact topic of magnesium deficiency and ketosis, ketogenic diets. And it's kind of normal because it's, first of all, it's the number one deficiency in the world. And second of all, this is going to speed up the deficiency by using up all of the magnesium for the processing. I mean, it heals. Magnesium is there to heal the organs. It helps the kidneys function. It helps pretty much in over 800 processes in the human body. And it's the number one deficiency involved with these low-carb diets, high-fat diets. Usually we were getting magnesium, I guess you could say traditionally, in the grain of the food and the bread. The number one source of magnesium in the ancient culture was bread, actually. And so, you could say nuts and stuff like that too, but all those nuts, it's like we always point to nuts, but it's like the body has to extract all of that. The body's a machine. It's not just like perfect extraction, and so it takes a lot to turn an almond into magnesium in the body. Especially today, where the soil has been eroded, and a lot of the foods that we used to eat, including Parmesan or any other basic type of food item from a region, contains 60 to 80% less magnesium than it contained 100 years ago. So we have this invisible deficiency based on soil deficiency that somehow people think they're able to overcome just magically. And we'll just overcome the soil. And it's like, these are primary facts. You can't overcome them. You have to understand them and find ways to enhance and heal or fix or whatever. But you can't just magically overcome it with your genetics. You might be able to ride it out for a while, but genetics and deficiencies, this is like two different worlds, your genetics can get you pretty far, but the deficiency is still going to be causing havoc in your system. Whether or not you always can detect that or not is different. Most of what's happening to us, we're unconscious of anyway. The whole world is in a type of denial to a certain degree. And I'm not saying I'm above that. I have my own denial. Everybody's got their own little denial that they're in about this, that, or the other. And maybe that's normal. We can't face everything all at once, right? But it's kind of a world condition. And so we might be in denial about what these things are actually doing to us. Modern, reality kind of confirms that when everybody around 60 years of age starts having a heavily medicated final chapter of their lives. This has become the norm to a certain degree. And so we can't deny that there's just a denial here. It's like, oh, we see everybody in their 20s and then we just forget about Tom, Joe, and Harry or whatever when they get older. Where's that musical chairs? Is Tommy still there? Is Joe still there? We don't see that anymore. We just stare right in the middle like, yeah, we're good. So it's better to kind of get a more global perspective, or a higher perspective, so where you can see all of this stuff if possible, or at least try to look out from that viewpoint when you can. Ketogenic diets, number one deficiency in ketogenic diets, not only by Dr. Carolyn Dean, who's a magnesium aficionado, but in general, I've seen tons of studies online about this. And there is also, it's actually quite obvious too. You get rid of the carbs, you get rid of the grains, you get rid of where we used to always get the magnesium from. So now you have to get it from other areas. And so you think you can get it from these high magnesium foods and nuts and all this stuff, but it's all about processing and extraction. So if you really want to look back to our ancestors, you'll see Greek and Roman ancestry. They used the bath and Roman spa culture. The city of Bath is a Roman, what do you call it? Is a Roman find where they, found these, mineral-rich waters in that region. And so that became Bath. Magnesia in Greece was the same. which is partly underwater now. But magnesia was also um, I guess you could say, the origin of the bath culture, maybe in the European system. And you have like spa, which is in Belgium. You have so all these words that we use now, they actually come from this culture. And so these mineral rich waters were sought after, and they were everywhere. They were Spain. I mean, they were all over Europe, and they were kind of like on the roads of civilization. They were very central in a way to the community and the social life there. People understood that you got something out of it. You felt better. And even in France today, you still have doctors which give thalassotherapy as medical treatment for different types of diseases and different types of conditions. They will actually give different types of mineral-rich waters, which is amazing for us in America because this doesn't happen. We don't have this kind of acumen on that one area, and so we've kind of lost consciousness of that. So that's why I'm bringing this back into a modern format, which is, like I was saying, the transdermal magnesium, which you can find at the Heart of Tradition. And you have, like, these are in glass bottles, so there's no endocrine disruptors involved, which most of the 95% of the market is all in cheap plastic, and then they have endocrine disruptors in the container with soft user-in plastics, which degrade not only on the shelf, but even as you use them, the oxidation, the light, and everything. It's well known that plastic degrades products. I mean, even people who make oils and stuff, they know. And so they end up adding synthetic vitamin E and stuff to their products to protect them longer when they're in plastic than when they're in glass, like glass olive oil or whatever. So people know this. These are trade secrets, I guess, but they're well known. And so trying to get away from that and find something which is of a high quality. When you're taking transdermal magnesium through the skin, you're repeating your ancestral wisdom. You're repeating this Greek and Roman thalassotherapy through something which you can carry with you. And one of the other problems today is we have problems with our bath water. The bath water itself is horrible. I mean, there's new studies coming out now that show over 100 different types of contaminants, including radon 228 and iodine 131 and all of these different types of chlorines and like tetracycline chlorine. I don't even know. I mean, there's just a whole series of things in the water, endocrine disruptors, fluoride, fluorine, which is even quicker to absorb. Chlorine has now been replaced with chloramine in most water systems because they say it cleans the pipes or whatever. I don't know. But so this is just it absorbs much faster into the body, especially for babies and children and stuff. So anyway, so we got to find a way to do these things which doesn't involve water. Like even the Epsom salt bath craze in America is great because the Epsom salt's helping the water, and it's probably pulling out some of that radioactive material to a certain degree, and maybe even some other toxins. But like you're still in that same bath water, and it should never be used to recharge magnesium, Epsom salt, because this is an exudative process. This is coming out. This is a superficial detox on the skin, which is helping to a certain degree, but it's not an internal, raising of magnesium levels in the body in an intelligent way. That's not what's happening with Epsom salt baths. They're for something else. So don't confuse one with the other. And that's kind of like, getting back to the paleo and keto. I mean, these are traditional sources. They're all about tradition in these diets. And if you go back to even Asia, not even just to, Europe, they had people mining for this type of stone, bischofite, this type of stone, where they found these soft stones which would melt in contact with water and near certain natural formations, and then they would use this soft stone as like, kind of like a medicine, and and then the Spartans would use like the waters of magnesia and certain little rock cracks where they were able to get a more concentrated solution of it, and then they would take this and use directly on the legs, etc. So there's a lot of antecedents for natural, and I guess you could say, I mean, if you want to take paleo back to pre-civilization, maybe not, Who knows? I mean, I know the Dolomite Mountains in Italy, and there has been many regions which were famous for people eating this clay or, absorbing things, geophagia. So, I mean, you'll probably find some sort of traditional aspect no matter how you trace it. But the goal is not to live in the past. It's to understand why we're here and the world we're in now. It's not just an error, the world we're in now. It may be actually perfect, the world we're in now. We just don't understand how this world is able to absorb every different karma of every different type of person all in one place. So we see all this injustice, we see all these things, but maybe this is a perfect system for all of these different energies to work themselves out. We don't know. It could be in its own state of perfection on a spiritual level, but on the physical level, completely in disorder to our eyes. So just trying to have more of a spiritual perspective has helped me a lot, instead of thinking I know what is happening here, there, or whatever. It's like, just be like, kind of squint a little bit instead of staring at it with all of your brain power, and just go, wait a minute, maybe things are the way they're supposed to be, and there's something I'm supposed to be learning. There's lessons we're all supposed to be learning. We're going through something. And so even some of the darkest chapters of history seem to produce, more empathy over time in the world. If we've looked at world history, I think that the people of today have more empathy than they ever did at any period. And so there is something growing, heart culture, I guess you could say, or something. But anyway, that's kind of off topic. But the paleo and the keto cannot survive without this transdermal magnesium. This is part of the way to get that into the body the right way, to up those levels. You need to do it for 6 months to a year at the beginning. You don't have to do it forever for the rest of your life, but you need to pull yourself out of the deficiency. It's a real deficiency. It takes about a year to heal, and people need to start paying attention to it. It's not something you can just magically overcome with a few brushstrokes. It's a reality in the soil. So help your body. Don't make it extract everything. Use your skin as an easy way to get these things in, and be intelligent with that free energy kind of exchange there, which can save you energy. And that saved energy is what health is. I mean, that's how we get out of sickness. Sometimes we borrow the animals who've converted the vegetal into a certain vitamin, and so we're borrowing their energy conversion, which they've made for us, and we honor them, and we thank them. But that's what it is. It's energy being converted and allowed to enter easier when you're sick or when you need that extra help or whatever. So anyway, check it out. Come to theheartoftradition.com and get yourself a bottle. Only buy in glass bottles. Only buy Zechstein Inside logo products that have the actual trademark. Do stay away from anything that says genuine, authentic Zechstein, true Zechstein. If it doesn't have the Zechstein Inside logo, it's not coming from the original source, which you can call Transparency in Vindam, Holland, Vindam, Netherlands. Most people will never tell you where they get the origin of their products from. They'll just use the word Zechstein because it can't be legally protected, but they won't tell you exactly where it's coming from. And so there's a lot of off-site certification schemes and things like that. So go with the trademark logo from the original source in Holland, and avoid all this Tibetan exploitation, Asian look-alike, solvent-extracted magnesium, USP stuff that's sold in generic cheap plastic for 30 cents on the dollar. Get the right stuff, pay the right price. It's not that expensive. It costs you about $3 a week to do the right version of it. So don't go cheap on this area of your health. Thanks.